Right. Well, good afternoon and welcome to this afternoon's breakout session. I am Brian Combs, the Chief of the Environmental Economics and Demographics Branch here at NASS. And I'm happy to have the opportunity to highlight some of the results from the Census of Agriculture. So on February the 13th, NASS published over 6 million distinct data points, and we've released 7 million more since that initial release. So given the magnitude, we'll keep this pretty high level. We'll go through a few of the high level results and then dive into how you can access some of this data. The first Census of Agriculture occurred in 1840. The 2022 Census of Agriculture is the 30th in the series and the sixth conducted by NASS. The power of the census is its ability to visualize and understand important changes in agriculture at the U.S., state, and county levels. As we walk through this presentation, it's important to keep in mind the definition of a farm. A farm is defined as any place from which $1,000 or more of agricultural products were produced and sold, or would have been sold during the census year. The current farm definition was established in 1974. Looking to where you can access this data, it's all available on the NASS website. There is a section under Census that provides the data in Census publications. We have Ag Census web maps, highlights, subject series, special studies, rankings and profiles, and then quick stats. We'll dive into each one of these a little bit more as we walk through the presentation. So when you first go to the census webpage, you will notice this page that shows the various tables that are available from the Census of Agriculture. The first section is Volume 1, Chapter 1, which is for U.S. level data. There's also Volume 1, Chapter 2, which is for state level data. I'll also make a note that there's also Appendix A and Appendix B, and the index are handy tools to be aware of. You can use the appendix to search for the methodology, or Appendix A, I'm sorry. Appendix B is your general report form. So if you want to see how those questions were asked, or the explanations that were given to producers to better understand what the data may or may not include, that's a handy resource. And then there's also the index if you're unsure of what you were looking for, where what various tables might be good or might be of interest to you. You can search through that index by keyword to identify all the tables that, say, for instance, something like corn may appear. Mentioned earlier that there was the Ag Census Web Maps application. So this makes the information available at the county level through a few clicks. The maps and accompanying data help users visualize, download, and analyze census data in a geospatial context. The highlights are topical, timely, and easy to read summaries of key findings from the Census of Agriculture. For example, a highlight on organic agriculture. The subject series data supplement the 2022 Census of Agriculture Volume 1. They provide the 2022 data summarized by different topics such as watersheds, American Indian reservations, and typology, to name a few. Special studies are additional data collections from specific topics in the 2022 Census of Agriculture. They take a deeper look into those specific items than what is provided in the 2022 Census of Agriculture. An example of this is the tenure, ownership, and transition of agricultural land, or local food marketing practices. Profiles are available for state, county, race, ethnicity, and gender, and congressional districts, which provide a quick agricultural overview. Rankings are available for market value of ag products sold and congressional districts. In addition to quick stats, there are a couple of resources that I would like to note here. You can download the complete 2022 census data set and a few additional tables along with the quick stats user guide. Before I turn it over for the quick stats demo, I would like to share that NASS will be releasing many additional products from the 2022 Census of Agriculture. In late October, the Irrigation and Water Management Survey, followed by the Census of Aquaculture in December. So thank you for your time. I'll now turn it over to Misty for a quick stats demo and how to access the data through quick stats.
Thank you, Brian. Now I will go through demonstrating quick stats. My name is Misty Salmon, and I work in the Environmental Economics and Demographics branch. And today I just wanted to show you some things about accessing data on quick stats and some tips and tricks that you could use. So here we are at our census website, and many of you may be familiar with accessing census quick stats data from our website. Maybe you go directly to the quick stats URL, or maybe you go to data and statistics and access quick stats that way. There's many different ways to access different things on our website. So I'm going to highlight the things on our census landing page that Brian had shown in his slides. To get to the census landing page, you click on the census link in the green bar, and then you're able to go to either quickly, you could go to the census data by choosing year in this drop-down box for the historical Census of Ag publications, or you could scroll to the bottom of the page and get the current in the past 2 years. So I'm going to choose the 2022 from the quick link there. And here you can see the census landing page that Brian had been showing in his slides. So all of that information on those various slides are in one long website page where you can scroll down and get information. So like the census web maps, special subject series, the special studies, rankings and profiles, custom census products, and so on. This is also a way to access quick stats. And so I'm going to demonstrate how to get census data from using a live demonstration. So first, I'm going to demonstrate how to find farms and landed farms, which are two most popular items from the Census of Agriculture, or come up the most. Now, we do publish those on an annual basis, but this is the only location, or only publication where we have it at the county level. And I'm going to go through some national and county level examples. For one quick tip, we encourage you to keep the query simple when you're looking for census data. Often, if you create a complicated query, it might be, you might limit yourself out of what you're trying to find. So, for example, we'd recommend that you choose only one location and year until you know what your picks are, and then you can make it more complicated after that. Also, we'd recommend that you stick with just a limited query on program, commodity, data item, and domain. And then you won't limit yourself out of something you would want to find. So with that, I will go to farms and land and farms. And farms and land and farms at the national level can be found in our Chapter 1 US table, US by table. And you can go to Table 1, Historical Highlights. And there you can see we have the number of farms and land and farms for several years. Now, this information is also available on QuickStats. So I'm going to go and find the data there. So since that was a national data that I'm trying to select, I'm going to choose first Census, National, and 2022. Then I'm going to go directly to Commodity and choose Farm Operations. After choosing that, the data item screen pops up. And so you can see here we have farm operations, number of operations, as well as farm operations, acres operated. So first we're going to go to farm operations, number of operations under data item. And then I'm going to choose total. And with that, you can see that we have in the upper right-hand corner, we have one record selected. So when I give that data, here is the US number of farms for 2022. As you can see, that matches what we have here in the PDF publication. Now that I've found this, I can go back and make the query more complex. So I could go back and select several census years. So I'll choose 2017 and 2012. And as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, we're limited down to 3 records, which is good because we're getting 3 years worth of data. And here we have the farm operations for the past 3 census years. So now I'm going to go back to picking farm operations, the total acres operated, or the land and farms, and use a very similar method and choosing domain total to just get the overall number. And as you can see, I have 3 records. When I choose the Get Data button, I show the data that was in table 1 for land and farms. Now, why did I show this example? I'm showing it to show you that we are encouraging you to go directly from program to commodity to data item and domain. It isn't necessary to choose each item. If I were to go back and clear this and just poke around and try to find the data, I could choose Census, National, 2022. And then if I were choosing all of these options, I wouldn't be maybe too sure what to choose here, but on this group, I could choose farms, land and assets. And then I see farmland. So I'll click that. Ag land, number of acres. Unfortunately, this isn't where the land and farms is located on QuickStats, but intuitively you may go to that. Where the land and farms is housed is under farm operations, acres operated, and we're getting the total. So it can be easy to limit yourself out of what you're trying to find if you choose each in every pick list, an item in each pick list. So how did I know to choose farm operations? I'll go back to the census website and go to one of the 2 files or 3 files that we have here, links that we have here, and choose the user guide for the 2022 Census of Agriculture. This user guide helps to show you and search for items in census in a Excel type format. So this user guide, it does not have data, but it has metadata that you can use to select census items. There are several tabs at the bottom of the Excel file, including the introduction, which just gives you a basic overview of what is in the spreadsheet, how to find a data item, the table numbers and names, the volume 1 index where you can quickly search and find the table that contains the data item that you're looking for, and then the overall main parts of this guide, which is the metadata for chapters 1 and the metadata for chapters 2. So before I go over that, I just wanted to emphasize something that Brian mentioned earlier, in that where you find census data, it's grouped by chapters. So there are chapters 1 and chapters 2. So chapter 1, you would go to find US data, national level data. And that's the only chapter that you can find national level data. Whereas chapter 2, you can find state level data. And you can also find state level data in chapter 1. So state level data can be found in both chapters 1 and chapters 2, while the tables are not identical. And in chapter 2, that is the only place where you can find county level data. So that helps to know which tabs to click on the bottom here. So to do this, I'm going to show a county level example, and I'll go back to the list of reports here. And let's say I would like to know county level data for information on cattle farms in Texas from the last census. So going to the county level data, maybe you're familiar with this table here. It's table 11, which is cattle and calves, and has inventory and sales. Now, not only are there, cattle numbers here, but there are cattle farm counts here by county. So to find that in Quick Stats, to find that in the user guide, to know which Quick Stats tables you would choose, selections you would choose, I'm going to go to metadata, chapter 2, tables 1 through 57. And I showed in chapter 2 that we are looking at table number 11. So I can filter that on table number 11. And when you go here, you could see exactly which items you would pick if you were to go in Quick Stats. So, I was emphasizing that you don't need to choose every single pick list, an item in every single pick list. You would only need to choose the defaults or the minimum required, which would be the program, the commodity, the domain, and the data item. And here we have them highlighted in green so that you could know where to go to select these items. So here I would know to go, this is sort of an easy example, to have a cattle example because the commodity items aren't as easier to find. So let's say you would like this county level data in Texas. So I would go to Census County 2022 cattle. And let's say I would like the number of farms with all cattle and calves by county. So cattle, including calves, operations with inventory. Choose domain is to. And choose Texas. And I would get returned with 254 records, which is all the counties in Texas. So it's a quick way to find items if you're familiar with the PDF publication and a way to look through the different domains and categories that are available on our QuickStats database. Finally, I'm going to show you in chapter 1, we have something called cross tabulations. And these are tables we refer to as tables 70 through 77. And these tables include the same items, but grouped in different categories. So say, for example, the size of farm in acres, or the value of ag products sold in dollars. So there are different ways that you can look at the data. And so say, for example, we have a summary by NASS, the North American Classification System, where each farm in the census is given a specialty. So it is whatever is 50% or more of the value of sales. So for a farm to be in an oil seed or grain category, that 50% or more of their sales needed to be in oil seeds. So let's say you would like to know the average age of a producer in a grain or oil seed farm. You can look through this page to go down to the producers column, or you could query it in QuickStats, or you could go to you go to summary tables 71 to 77. And these files are actually Excel files with data in the Excel files rather than just metadata. And I have already clicked on this and downloaded them. And here you can see the tables are listed here by table number. Table 77 is where the NASS data is. And when I pull up that data, I see a spreadsheet like this. So this is actual summary data from QuickStats, but pulled into a spreadsheet that includes all states in the United States. We have that for each of those tables. The cross tabs are pretty powerful in that they have a lot of information. So one of the things I was going to show is the average age of a producer in a grain or oilseed farm. So these are all of the items that are available in these Excel files. As you can see, there's quite a few. And it's all right here at your fingertips. So I'm going to go to producers, average age in
Misty,
years. Yes.
I don't think your screen has refreshed to show this spreadsheet. It's still showing the census landing page.
Is that better?
No, I'm still seeing the web page. That was a user's guide, I
Okay.
think.
Is this good?
No, that's showing your Citrix workspace.
Desktop? Desktop?
No,
Okay.
you might have to unshare and start your share again, might help.
Do you see an Excel file?
No.
Okay. My apologies.
Nice. fun to go first to get the technical
It is.
difficulties, right?
Hopefully we can edit this. Um, do you see an Excel file now?
No.
Mhm. You see it now? All right. We're going to skip that and just go to back to our website. And I apologize for that. I see it on the screen. Brian, do you see Internet Explorer?
No,
File
it
Explorer?
doesn't
Okay,
look like
I'm
anything
going
is
to
sharing.
stop then. So I don't know why it won't let me share that, but tables 71 through 77 are here, and you're able to use filters to filter out what you'd like to see, and it's pretty powerful, and it has hundreds and thousands of rows of data. So
Misty, I can try to share one of
okay,
those if you want to just kind of walk them
walk you
through it.
through.
So give me one
Okay.
second. Okay, hopefully that is up for folks
Yes,
now. Okay.
yes. So if you go to table, I'm just going to show table 75. And then I was going to wrap that first row there. So I would put K through, wrap the first row,
The one I'm on currently or
row
this
one.
one?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And then I could filter, or if you add a filter to row 3. Yep. Okay.
Oh,
And then that is good. Actually. So now, if you could make column G wider, this shows all of the data items in table 75, which are the same items in every single table, but the categories are different at the top, where you can see the number of, you can see the NAICS farms across the top. So grain and oilseed farms are in column 11. Now, if we use the filter in short description and make the filter wider by the bottom part of that, and scroll or move it to the, yes, thank you. Here are all the data items in these tables. And so there are quite a few. And so now if you deselect, select all, and go down to producers, there you go. Producers, average age, number, not age in years. That is the one we would like. There we go. Now, there. So here we can see the average age of producers across all states in column E and across all farms, type of farms. And at the very bottom of this file is the US totals. So say, for example, the average age of grain and oilseed farmer is 58.1, whereas that's very much different from the column S, which is 61.4. So the producers are on average older for that column than the grain and oilseeds column. And that is all I was going to show. So I guess we can open it up to questions. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. Thank you. So, Misty, I guess I'll start with the first question. So, if you build out a query in QuickStats and you decide, okay, this is all the data I want to come back to this later, can you save that in some form or fashion?
Yes. So let's see if I am able to share my screen. Okay. Do you see my screen in QuickStats?
Yeah. Yes, that is up.
All right. So let's choose a data item. Choose alpaca since it's at the top of the list. Inventory. And this is what I would like to find, let's say, by state. Let's get data. And here is all the data for alpacas. And Brian was talking about this web address at the top here. Can I save this and come back to it later? Yes, this is a unique address for just that data item. So you could copy it, for example, and put it into Word and then come back to it later. Or also, if you if you'd like to email someone with that or keep it, you can do it that way. Also, if you take out the word results in 1/, you can come back to all the selections that were chosen to select that item. So say it was more important to learn where something is located, you can save that as well as the actual address for those data items.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a few questions in the Q&A piece, so I'll go through that. I think the first one is one that we will save for the list of questions for the open session tomorrow. So is there any update on the corn, soybean, county level yield planted, harvested acre data for 2025? Is USDA going to be releasing that data in 2025? So our session at this time only focuses on the 2022 Census of Agriculture data. So we will save that for that open session tomorrow to be addressed. Another question, can NASS bring back the search bar functionality in QuickStats? It can be a fast, efficient way to find data within the database. The feature appears to have quietly been turned off. Please bring it back. So with that, I will say that is something we are exploring how we can get that back. The server that our QuickStats data was sitting on was getting fairly old and outdated, so we moved that to the cloud. One of the kind of downfalls of doing that was we got a little bit better technology as far as where to store that data, but we did lose a little bit of functionality. We have a team of folks that are looking at how we can get some of those features back to make it a little more accessible and easier to use for folks. So please stay tuned. And I think all of us at NASS, along with several of our data users, are looking for that search bar feature to get back online, because that was a very helpful and efficient way to narrow down your data searches. The next one looks to be more of a comment, but thank you for the demo of the NASS tools. Very helpful. Will a recording of the demo be made available? And I think that this session is being recorded along with the others, and they will be posted to the NASS website. But Marissa, Tina, or Vincent, please feel free to correct me if I have misspoke on that. Okay, and then the last one in the Q&A is who can you contact for assistance if your query is not working as you want? So I would say the easiest way to find an expert in that area is if you look at the back of any of the publications, it has a listing of contacts. Reach out to them through email. Or give them a phone call. They'll be happy to help. I would say don't spend too much time struggling with these. We have many experts at NASS that are happy to help and get you directed. Many times it's just as simple as Misty was showing, send you a link to what selections need to be made, and then that gets you back up and running. So, okay. And while we wait for other questions to come in, Misty, is there a limit on how much data you can download at one time from QuickStats?
Yes, there's a limit of 50,000 records. So in the QuickStats web application, there's a limit of 50,000 records. However, more records could be queried with the API functionality of QuickStats.
And if you needed access to a large amount of data, say more than the 50,000, is there a way that you can download the full QuickStats database or even the
Yes,
full census data set?
yep, I can show that. Here, to see the QuickStat or the census landing page.
Yes, that is up.
Okay. So under QuickStats 2.0, here is a way where you can click and download the entire data set. And hopefully we'll post a recording of the demonstration. I'll just redo the demonstration and we can post that online so we can show what we intended to show. I could go back to the user's guide and demonstrate how to find no-till acres. So here would be an example of how to find something using the index. So let's say I'm trying to find no-till, and you can do Control F where you try to find a specific item and it's not there, so you might have to customize what you're trying to find a little bit. So here is tillage. I found that. And so let's say we'd like to see it at the state level. That would be in chapter 1. So there is intensive and reduced tillage. So I'm going to try to go to that in the metadata for table 37. Filter table. Well, are you able to see my Excel file?
Yes, it's
Good. So now we've limited down to table 37. And if I go to data item, filter it. So here we can see that in order to find no-till, you would need to choose the census program, commodity is practices. Then under practices, you're able to find the no-till data. And you can see it a number of different ways. This isn't available to be selected in Quick Stats, but it will return with these items if you were to select no-till and choose domain of area practiced. Oh, sorry. Also with this, it might be handy to filter by units. So maybe a table where we had dollars, acres, producers. That would be easier to limit your items by the units rather than the actual data item when you're trying to look around and see what's available.
Okay, thanks, Misty. We did get a couple more questions that came in. So the next question that came in through the Q&A, if you save a query as you demonstrated, how long is the URL good for? Is that forever until the next major change in the system, or perhaps until the next census is released? Basically, do those URLs expire?
I do not think that they expire unless we were to change metadata, then I think it would no longer work. But I think that if you chose something from 2022 or 2017 and used it later, I believe it would work. But that is something we'd have to look into for certain, to be absolutely certain.
Yeah, and that's my understanding too. I would think with any major system change, they would probably no longer work, but until there's some major change, I think those are still active. I would also just note on that that as Misty showed, where you could take out the word results. If you do that, like if you found some data for 2022 and you wanted to go back to find previous census years, you can also remove that results word and then go back and select additional years to be able to get that same data for a longer history if needed. So that's a pretty handy feature to keep in mind. And then the next question is, what is the difference between Quick Stats and Quick Stats Lite?
Okay, so Quick Stats Lite, I will share my screen again. The Quick Stats Lite, if we go under data and statistics, there is Quick Stats Lite. And Quick Stats Lite already has some canned queries available. And so there are already views built in. So here you would need to select the acreage, yield, production, and price. It's all built into the view. So it's taken away some features in order for it to be more of a canned query with the view. But that is Quick Stats Lite.
Misty, if users were interested in learning more about the API, is there an area where they can go to find out additional information on how to obtain an API key or
Yes, that's a good point.
documentation on that?
Okay, if you were to go to quick stats and then go under help. I'm not showing this on the screen. Um, there are items for developers or programmers, and there you're able to get request an API key through this link here. There are also other helpful things in this help file, which includes tutorials. Some of the tutorials are older, so some of the features aren't there. But there is a glossary and some help, as well as the API information and downloading large data sets. So this is where we would link to the census data set that is in its entirety here.
Yes. So that actually, while you're there, Misty, that actually feeds into the next question that came through. It says, do you also have complete census data set for the state and county? So this file that Misty has directed us to here would actually be where you could get that full download of all the U.S. state and county data. It looks like we have a few more minutes. If there's any last questions, happy to take those. All right, so this is great work. They learned a lot and it was very helpful. So looks like our users enjoyed the session. So not seeing any other questions come in, we can give everyone a few minutes back, maybe get an extra cup of coffee before the next session starts, or a bathroom break if you need that. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining. As I mentioned earlier, if you do have any issues or challenges finding any of our data, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have experts here that are happy to help and assist with finding you the data you're looking for. So again, thank you for joining, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of today's program. Thank you.